cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I pull at your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Just black and white. Just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico. It's black and white. Just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico. It's black and white. Black and white. Black and white. It's black and white.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Simracersworld TV, and welcome to another fantastic evening in the SimStickers Simracersworld Formula 3 series. We're here at the legendary Okayama International Circuit. It used to be known as Thai Circuit Aida, which used to host a round of the Formula 1 World Championship, I believe. It might have done it on just one occasion, in fact. But either way, slippery Japanese tarmac, quite cool temperatures at the moment. And for the second time running, I'm not alone in the commentary box. I'm joined by my good friend Jack Werrell. Jack, you had a baptism of fire into the championship at the Nürburgring, and I'm sure that tonight, this track, obviously a very popular one with the rookie series on iRacing, this should be a corker.
Yeah, it should indeed. First of all, good evening, everybody. And like you say, Chaz, we have got one very busy evening of racing ahead of us. And yeah, Nürburgring, it was literally, that needs to be the tagline of this series, just busy, because there's so much going on. You've got 3 classes spread over 4 races and so many different things to think about. And you've got interclass rivalries, team rivalries, just general rivalries as well. And all that's carried from round to round to round, back-to-back rounds of course as well. So Okayama, it's one of those circuits, like you say, rookie series, so everyone has got that experience and that track knowledge from one point or another during their iRacing career, and we're in what for me is a great learning tool to learn what a car does underneath you. It's a mix between mechanical grip and aerodynamic grip, and it really handles like a race car should. So it's great track, great circuit, and I'm sure we're in for a great night of racing.
We should be indeed. The guys are just out at the moment in qualifying, and it is Arthur Fry for Fat Send Engineering that is fastest, doing an absolutely cracking job of it. I like the cameras at Okayama as well. They're really, really nice cameras here, so we get some very good views as he comes towards us down what is a small back straight. There's effectively 2 back straights on this circuit, isn't there, Jack? I mean, you have the long sweeping right-hander near the beginning of the lap, and we're going to see a lot of slipstreaming down there, aren't we?
Yeah, it's such a unique circuit. There's so many different lines you can take, and like I say, the sector 1 is quite important because you need to carry that momentum through, because it's all about how you set the car up for the entry, how you take the apex, and how you get it ready for the exit. And like you say, we've got 2, in theory, back straights. The long back straight, which goes into a heavy braking zone, tight right-hand hairpin at the end of that. So possibly look for some late dive moves. Of course, we've seen that a little bit at Nürburgring. We've seen it throughout the seasons and well, since the championship started, but Okayama is one of those circuits where you're going to see those late braking moves, and that's one of the things that I think will slowly start to separate the packs, because it's who can be later on the brakes, earlier on the throttle, and like what I think it was Jackie Stewart says, don't get on the throttle until you know you're not going to have to take your foot back off it again. And even more so around here, like you say, slippery Japanese tarmac, you get on the throttle too early, you're going to end up pointing backwards.
Yeah, definitely. It's not going to be the easiest of nights for a lot of these guys, and I know some of them are very eager to get on the power and crack on, but yeah, this is definitely a place where they really need to exercise caution over the course of the evening. Now, I'm just trying to find... We did have our championship standings at some point recently from the wonderful Bart Delman. We don't have the images tonight, guys. Apologies. Been a bit of an issue, so I've been rather late in getting some things set up here, so we do not have the wonderful images that our very own Paul Godden usually provides us with week in, week out. He actually got them done last minute as well, bless him, and yeah, I was even later than he was, so yeah, sorry Paul, but we absolutely love you. We do have Adrian Falcon, who's just gone fastest, and we've got this situation again. We've got a couple of drivers in one session and a couple of drivers in another, which is quite intriguing to have. So in this one, we've got Adrian Falcon, Mark Elviota, Caitlin Haight, Silas Craig-Vrolic, Khan Newen, and Adam Osiawala, who, by the way, is racing for XD Racing now. Last time out, I had it as SCCR or SSCR by Delta Sport, whatever it was. But the information hadn't carried over properly. You know what technology's like. But yeah, Adam and his teammate, well, I was going to say Phil Reagan, but that's XZ Racing, so we've got XD and XZ to worry about at this point. I think, interestingly as well, due to an incident that we saw, or a couple of incidents we saw at the Nürburgring, Stephen Grabowski has been banned from the heats for this evening. He will only appear in the consolation race tonight. Well, obviously the feature as well if he gets through, but he will be starting his night in the consolation race. So he's going to have a lot of work cut out if he wants to get through to the very end.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a very, once again, here's the word again, it's going to be a busy night for him, because it's, whoa, 2 cars sideways in the gravel through the final corner. That's Forsyth that's gone off, and I think that's Zemstra that followed him. Or Zemstra went through first, and Forsyth, well, let me show you how you do it. Son, sideways through the gravel, and did end up collecting with the wall. So let's see what happened to the number 88. Firstly, forward machine just lit up the rear tyres, and then you see Forsyth come flying through and into the barrier fairly hard, and that's something you've got to look out for as well, because we know how close these drivers can race, wheel to wheel. I don't know how there isn't more contact than there already is. Not saying that there's lots of contact, but the drivers get away with a hell of a lot. To think how close they race and how close we've had these finishes, how there isn't more incidents, I will never know. It pays due to how good the driving standards are in this series. And round here, you make a little mistake like that, if you've got a couple of cars following you, there's a chance you could get collected by a fair few. Hopefully you don't, and you end up just having your own little incident and you plod off into the gravel. But there's always a chance you get collected and race over for a couple of drivers, which then brings into the fact, if you get rid of those normal names up at the top, we could see some new names slowly start to creep their way through the cracks, and they'll end up in the consolation race, possibly in the feature race straight away. So that it's such an unknown, this series. No matter which circuit you're at, there's always a slightly unknown variable that can change the complexion of the feature race.
Yeah, that's it. And I love the fact that we do get such an exciting evening of racing. It's not just like we have two races straight after one another. We've got the two heats which are split up between the grid, so we've got a good spread there. It's not like the first half of the grid and the second half of the grid. And then we've obviously got the consolation, where there's a bit more pressure on these drivers to get through to the feature at the very end of the evening. And that, again, I suppose, is because you have to be in a certain position. There's no sort of doubting if you're going to get through or not. It's a very black and white way of making sure that you're through to the end of the evening, and obviously the highest championship points. So yeah, I think that added pressure of being in a certain position by the end of a race certainly does make the racing more frantic, but more fun for us. Here's Ben Hoffman, who's definitely been somebody to watch this season. He's been very, very exciting, always has been as the German. He's had mixed results, you could say, though, Jack. He's been very, very quick sometimes with epic charges through the field, but then other times, he's had a silly few incidents, not always his fault, and he's just not been able to manage to break back through the order. Although, there you go, look at that. 8th place for him. He'll be very pleased with that.
He will be indeed, and I think it's just one of those things. These cars are so on edge all the time. The best way to drive them is on the absolute limit, just slightly below the bar of overdriving. But to get every ounce of performance, you have to make sure you make the most of all the mechanical grip, all the aerodynamic grip, and open the track up as much as possible. Because if you can take a slightly wider line, you can carry that momentum, get on the throttle slightly earlier, and over a lap, it might not gain you that much, but over a race, it will slowly start to eke out little by little. And Adrian Falcon has evidently found that here this evening. 1.6 tenths clear already of Arthur Fry, and we know what Adrian's like. He just gets quicker round in, and like the deeper we go into all of these the seasons. And Arthur Fry, he's still up there as well, getting quicker and quicker. We're currently looking at Sammy Venables, somewhat out of place for his classification, but maybe that's what we've got on the way here this evening. Maybe this could be his track or his car track combo, and we could see him picking up a nice haul of points for himself and Fat Sand Racing, or Engineering, pardon me.
Yeah, he's been amazing this season as Sammy Venables. So quick. Spoke to him last week as well, obviously after the Nürburgring round. But yeah, 2 Fat Sand Engineering cars in the top 3 at the minute. They'll both be very, very pleased with that. But we know it's not easy to stay up there. Khan Newen is the fastest at the moment in the Academy class. Greg Parmenter, who is just behind Sammy Venables on track, is 2nd fastest in that class so far. Jaco van der Plat, he's having a bit of a struggle in this session so far for Fiercely Forward GSI. He's down in 16th place overall, 10th in class in the Precision class. Ross Nicholson, the next one ahead of him in there. Ben White is another quick one that we keep seeing out there on track in the Damon Hill replica lid in the Eclipse Racing machine. Ben White, very, very quick. It seems like if your name is Ben, you're going to go pretty well in this championship, because him and Hoffman have just been awesome to watch. Philip Russell, he's had quite a topsy-turvy season as well. He had a number of incidents that we've seen him get caught up in, unfortunately. Again, not always his fault, but it's really affected his championship charge in the consistency class. But he continues to plug away, and that's the thing with a lot of these drivers. And what we notice really in the Simracersworld community, isn't it really, Jack, that none of these drivers give up. They've got such great determination behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is just the nature of a lot of the SRW leagues. If they have a little incident like Philip Russell in the qualifying session, sadly he won't get another lap out, so he won't be able to improve upon his provisional P17 time. Currently looking at Kevin Zemstra and another car backwards. That's Ben White. Having just spoken about him, you're saying, he'll be one of the quicker drivers. He quickly managed to prove you wrong. But yeah, it seems like that if they have a little mistake, or if they don't set up their qualifying right, Adrian Falcon, he's gone and done it again. 1:20.922 keeps him on provisional pole time, and just extends that lead gap. But it's like, if you don't set up your qualifying right, that is going to affect the rest of your night in this league, because if you don't quite get where you want to be in qualifying, you won't start where you want to in your heats, and then you might not start where you want to in the consolation race if you're unlucky enough to not get into the feature race. So that's one of the things the drivers just take on, like they just take it on the chin. They're like, right, okay, I've not had a great qualifying, but I'm going to drive the wheels off the thing. And sometimes you see, like you said, some brilliant drives. Ben White, one of the standout ones for that. Ben Hoffman also, just if they don't have that, if they don't have their best qualifying, they just stick with it. They turn laps and get to the end, get into that feature race and do exactly what they need to do. Evidently just showing off the damage model there.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, it cut off perfectly there. Bart Daleman confirming there that the entry list is divided into 2 groups during qualifying. The first 23 that enter the server go into the first group, and then everyone after that goes into a second one, because usually heat racing is just applied to the rallycross cars, so it means that the track doesn't get too filled up. Either way, Adrian Falcon takes pole in the first race of the night ahead of Sammy Venables, with James Forsyth and Ashley Beard on row 2. Following them is Mark Elviota with Silas Cragg-Vrolik in 6th ahead of Ross Nicholson, and Caitlin Haight with Philip Russell and Wayne Palmer, who round out your top 10. Behind them is Greg Parmenter and Phil Reagan, with Adam Ossioala, Robbie Kerenduff and Taylor Lane just behind in 15th place. But we just wait for the drivers to come onto the grid now, Jack. Some of them lining up. Anybody that you have your eye on here that isn't Adrian Falcon?
It's gonna have to be the usual suspects for me, of course. With the heat being split through qualifying, a lot of the drivers I was going to keep my eye on aren't in this split. James Forsyth, I think, is going to be definitely up there, but Venables, he's had a good quali. He's put it on the front row of the grid. Don't rule him out. I know it's few and far between for Adrian Falcon, and sort of cross my heart at this point. I don't want to put the commentator's curse on Falcon, but Venables, if he drives his race right, he's got the inside for turn 1. You never know where that could lead.
Yes, indeed. And I like your Jonathan Ross impression there, with them lining up on the grid. But either way, as I say that a lot, we're about to get underway then for round 6 of the championship. And away they go. Very steady start with everyone. Oh, a little bit of wheel spin by Phil Reagan at the back there. Falcon gets a good launch. And it looks like the 2 Altitude XZ Esports cars, 3rd and 4th, doing absolutely fine at the moment. Ross Nicholson is 5th. Actually, apologies, no, he's not. He's 6th, because Mark Elviota has had a really good start. He's up into 4th place now, getting ahead of Ashley Beard, who's got Ross Nicholson and Silas Cragg-Vrolik behind. Beard wants to try and take it back as soon as possible. Nothing doing yet, though, but this is one of the key parts of the circuit, isn't it, Jack? Big slipstream opportunity down here.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to make sure you set up your exit here. And look at this. The car's dicing from left to right, just trying to make sure they can break that draft. Get on the inside. You can see there Ashley Beard looking to go the long way around here on Viota. What can he do on the brakes? Nothing major, and he gets something out to dry. He's got to be careful, though, because Ross Nicholson is definitely there and looking to move forward. So is Silas Cragg-Vrolik, and they've come together. A bit of contact again. The cars bounce off each other. Just as I looked over at my timing screen, I heard a bit of a knock, and that's what happened.
Oh, Ross Nicholson, the man with absolutely no luck whatsoever. Oh, actually, to be fair, I think that he just lost it in front of him there, did Ashley Beard. Oh no, Mark Elviota. Mark Elviota's having an issue. He's off. And is the car damaged? It's not beached or anything. But he's had his own little moment there right after Ross Nicholson. Oh, the car gets away from him there into the corner. Oh, and he's just... That tiny slide would have probably just overheated the rears, and that's how quick it is to go wrong. But look at that at the front. Adrian Falcon really flying. A 126.999 at the moment. Everyone else doing 128s and above. It's just unbelievable pace from him. Bit of damage on Beard. Oh, that's Ossioala. And he's into the Ossioala. That's damaged the left rear. That to me looks like the left rear is very broken indeed. And I think that might be the end of his race. That was going to crab a lot there, but it's just, again, how fragile these cars are, these open-wheel racing cars. Taylor Lane, by the way, has not taken to the race, it seems. So I'm not sure what's happened there. That's Caitlin Haight weaving around a little bit with Philip Russell just behind, and then Wayne Palmer. These three at the moment on their way into the feature race. Now, it was Caitlin and Philip that had a massive accident at Watkins Glen. I'm not quite sure what happened. I think Philip just went to move over to defend, didn't realise how close Caitlin was, and they just piled into the wall down the back straight. It was a horrible incident. One of those incidents where you're glad that it's sim racing, and obviously no cause of any major injuries or anything, but yeah, it was a bit of a scary one. But Caitlin needed a bit of a resurgence at Nürburgring last time out, Jack, and it seemed that she got that. She had a really good meeting.
Yeah, she did indeed. All round a good night for herself. She got some good points and got a couple of good results up on the board, and she's following that sort of pattern here this evening. And let's hope she can continue on with as good a luck. But look at that Venables. He's lapped 3 or just under, or just over, sorry, 2/10 quicker than Venables. So he's than Falcon, sorry. So Venables is definitely getting closer, but how close, I don't know. He is still within that draft range just about. There's about 7/10 between the pair of them. So Venables, I'm not sure what it is tonight, but he's found another gear. And Falcon, normally he's in another postcode before you even get to turn 1 on the first lap of the race. And so far, Venables is keeping up with him. And I think it's almost working for him, just being at this distance. While he may be driving the wheels off his Dallara F3 car, he's got that draft range. So he's got that draft assistance, so he can drive the thing flat out and have that overspeed on the straight while also leaving James Forsyth behind. So he's playing this exactly how he needs to. And as long as he can just stick behind and maybe pressure Falcon into a mistake, there's a chance for a win here.
Yeah, I'd say so. Doing awesome stuff at the moment is Sammy, very, very talented driver, as we have seen in this championship so far. Looking a bit further down the order, we're going to stay with the onboard cameras, but here's Wayne Palmer just behind Philip Russell now. He's got a bit closer on this lap. Car 177 against car 178, both in the consistency class, 3rd and 4th in that class in this race at the minute. You could hear Wayne get off the throttle there as he went to run wide over the gravel. Down the main straight now, all of the slipstream from Philip's car. He's only about half a second ahead as well, is Philip, so it's not too bad as Falcon does another fastest lap of the race, 1:22.2. You can just see that these guys are getting into a rhythm already, Jack, and it's important to do that around a track like this.
It is indeed. You've got to make sure you can get in that rhythm, like you say, because the circuit does flow really nicely when you drive it right. When you get the bit between your teeth, it's just such a pleasure to drive. And at the moment, I'm sure Ashley Beard it would tell me otherwise, because Parmenter is just sat on his rear wing, and he's bringing another XZ car with him of Phil Reagan. So while it's Altitude XZ car leading this little trio, it's an XZ car at the tail end of it as well. So if Ashley Beard can manage just to hold off Parmenter, which I don't think he can, that's going to be a great move if he can hold it all the way around the outside in the Sim Stickers car. It will turn into the inside for the next left-hander. Over the crest we go. And which one is going to come out on top? There's still side by side. There's yet more contact there once again. He seems to be quite a choke point on Parmenter for me. I think he just turned into Phil Reagan there. Phil Reagan tail into the wall. No. And I think both cars destined for a retirement, Chaz.
Yeah, big damage on both of them there. That's such a shame, that is, because it was great opportunism by Phil Reagan. So there it is. Parmenter tries to go around the outside. Beard, while locking up, still manages to get it stopped. I'm thinking that front left wing plate causing him a lot of damage, and then you'll see Phil Reagan comes through. I don't think Parmenter knew he was there, and it was just left front to right rear, and then that rearward impact just broke Phil Reagan's car, unfortunately. Parmenter's still trying to get it around the track, but nothing doing there, I'm afraid. Beard, though, he's now under pressure from Mark Alviota in the Exodus racing car. Now, this is obviously an important one because it's for the last position in the feature race from this heat, and I honestly do think that Beard's car is suffering with that little bit of front wing damage. It may not look too bad, but it's obviously having a very negative effect.
Yeah, it seems like that is the case. Of course, both drivers are looking for somewhat of a comeback drive. Ashley Beard, he's been in the wars, in Viota. He's been backwards at one point, and look at that. Yeah, you can see just how much extra drag that is putting on Ashley Beard's car, and Viota, without too much of a stress, really, just right the way around the outside, kept his foot to the floor and went screaming by on the straight, and there you go, position made. Quite an easy one there for him to provisionally get into the feature race, but as we know, the complexion of the race can change at the drop of a hat, and so far, Falcon is still up at the front. However, it's still Venables with the fastest lap of the race, a full 10th quicker than Adrian Falcon. Yeah,
and they're trading purple sectors as well. Adrian Falcon's got sector 1 purple. He's actually just done purple sector 4, and then Venables has just beaten him in it. Venables has got purple sector 3 as well, and it's Wayne Palmer with purple sector 2 actually in 7th position, so he's going very well. But Falcon does another fastest lap of the race, but literally 0.04 of a second between them, so barely anything. And we know But all it's going to take is a mistake from one of them to settle that race. Now, just in front there is two very wonderful matte black and red cars, Silas Cragvrolic and Caitlin Haight. Silas is going to just be shouting, "Go away, leave me alone." But no, slipstream galore for Caitlin. Side by side down the straight they go. The RSR car on the right, fiercely forward car on the left. Inside line is preferred here, but you have to go a lot slower to make it work. Silas hard onto the brakes. Gives plenty of room to Caitlin. Caitlin gives him room as well. Great respectful stuff from the two of them. Down the hill they go side by side into another left-hander. Silas carries some great pace around the outside, and I think he's going to keep the position. But this means now that Philip Russell and Wayne Palmer are closing in on this as well, Jack.
Yeah, so that was great sportsmanship driving from the pair of them and make sure they gave each other the suitable room. But now, yeah, like you say, it's gone from two duos into one big old quartet led by Cragvrolic, then Haight, then Russell, then Palmer, all fighting over what is in theory fourth position. Still a bit of breathing room between the pair of them. You can sort of pick the difference. But Russell is definitely closing up onto the tail of Haight. But of course, Wayne Palmer, he's going to be sitting pretty at this point because he's still got a position in hand to get into that feature race. But he's got the mother of all draft assistances from the cars in front, because of course he's going to pick it up from Cragvrolic, then Haight, then Russell. And then eventually he manages to get that draft assistance. So he will have some great speed on the straight. And coming onto the back straight in just a few moments' time, I'm guessing we'll see Palmer up the inside of Russell. Haight is still definitely in the distance, but maybe we can see that slowly start to evolve into something. You see the differing lines through here, Chaz. It's quite an open right-hander going onto the final, or going onto the back straight, sorry. So you're starting to see people maybe take the shallow line, take the slightly sharper line, and then you're seeing people run wide, try and cut back in. And now look, Palmer looking to the inside of Russell and decides maybe this time isn't the time for it. But he's running out of time. Only one more lap left of this race. Yeah,
I can't believe how quickly this race has flown by, but you're definitely right there. Palmer is just trying to pile the pressure on and just see if he can rattle Russell in any way possible. But in fairness, at this stage, I don't think he needs to. He's in a good position to get through into the feature race. So I don't see much point in causing the issue for either of them. You just get through to the end at this point, but we all know that means you'd be 2 positions higher on the grid when it comes to the feature. So Falcon starts the last lap of the race then, still in the lead, but only by 0.8 of a second from Sammy Venables. You see the pair of them there. They are then quite a way away from James Forsythe, who is in 3rd position, 4 seconds off the back of Sammy Venables. Now I want to see what Sammy can do here, because we know that the slipstream is effective up to about a second in these cars, but to me that looks like too much of a distance to do anything severe.
Yeah, that gap is definitely it's undulating, I think is the best way to put it. It seems like Venables at certain parts of the circuit is closer, and you can see on the timing screen, Chaz, Sector 1 and Sector 2 purple for Falcon, Sector 3 and Sector 4 purple for Venables, so they're definitely quicker at different parts of the circuit. And just going off that, for me, that says Falcon is quicker through literally the quicker corners of the circuit. He knows how to carry the car through the corner and sort of use the weight of the car to work his way around those quicker corners. But when we get into this tighter section of the circuit, Venables has just got that little edge. But we're already going through the final sector on the final lap of Heat 1 of the night, Chaz, and we've still got another heat to go, and then another 30-lap consolation, and then the 19-lap feature race. But for Falcon, he's dominated this race from the start.
Yep, it's a very Adrian Falcon-esque performance. Beautiful stuff. Crosses the line, takes the first heat race of the evening. Venables a brilliant 2nd place, though. Forsythe is going to come home in 3rd position. For Altitude XZ Esports, a rather calm race for him. And then that quartet that we mentioned before actually spread out. Falcon does the fastest lap of the race on the last lap. And it's going to be Mark Alviota that's going to take the final spot in the feature race from this first heat. Very well done indeed. Ashley Beard will start the consolation race on pole position. Robbie Carendorf will start that one in 3rd, with Parmenter in 5th, and Phil Reagan 7th, Osiawala in 9th place. But a nice tidy race there, to be fair. A little bit of contact here and there. The one between Reagan and Parmenter was a little bit, I wouldn't say unnecessary. It wasn't like they were fighting too hard or anything like that, but it was just a shame to see it, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, I think the best way to describe it is possibly clumsy. It really didn't need to happen, but that is just the nature when you're racing wheel to wheel in these F3 cars. Arthur Fry takes pole position here for Heat 2. Then it's Matthew Crisp, Kevin Zemstra, Ben White alongside. Ben Hoffman has got Brian Loynes for company on row 3, Tim Rutten and Jacco van der Plaat on row 4. Khan Ewan and Daniele Giudici round out your top 10. Then it's Paul Godden and Craig Schill, 11th and 12th. Then it's Matthias Groen and Stefan Grabowski rounds out your grid for Formula Elements Racing. And we've got another 8-lap heat on the race, on the way. And I'm sure we will definitely not be short of any further action. Arthur Fry on pole position for Fat Send Racing. So Fat Send Engineering, sorry, are definitely on for a good night. I really need to put my teeth back in. Give me another heat race, and we might just about be there.
No, we'll be all good, mate. Don't you worry. Arthur Fry, though, definitely a good candidate for winning this one, but he's got two fiercely forward cars behind, Matthew Crisp and Kevin Zemstra. Watch out for those pair as well. Always quick. But the second heat of the night then from Okayama is away. Bit of wheel spin in the middle of the pack there from the number 23, Brian Loynes. Nobody really moving around position-wise yet. Look at Ben White on the inside there with Ben Hoffman just trying to hang it around the outside. It's very easy with such a wide circuit just to misjudge where somebody is on track, especially with the differing lines that Jack mentioned before. I think Ben Hoffman has had a real issue there coming out of turn one. He lost a lot of ground on the exit, maybe just spun up the rears a little bit. You've got Jaco van der Plat looking down the Van der inside. And Tim Rutten, car around, it is Brian Loynes that's had a spin. He's managed to actually gather it all back up, but he's lost a bucket load of positions. Down into 10th spot now, and look at this. Van der Plat having to defend from Daniele Giudici and Ben Hoffman around the outside there, 2x2 behind them. Noah's Ark into the hairpin. All very, very tidy, though, from the drivers so far. It's very impressive stuff. Oh, well, there you go. There's the commentator's curse, literally on cue. It's like being able to summon lightning, isn't it, the commentator's curse? It's an art form. But that was Tim Rutten and Paul Godden coming to strife there, I'm afraid. So quickly as well, but already one lap in the books here, Jack, and Arthur Fry is doing exactly what he needs to do.
He is indeed. He's just sitting up at the front, not even looking at his mirrors, using all the track and a little bit more, kicking up bits of gravel on the final corner. So too, who was that? I think that was possibly Ben Hoffman following him through with that line. Says the fastest lap of the race at 27.547 up at the front. Almost a second up on Matthew Crisp already. Then it's the second fiercely forward car of Kevin Zemstra, Ben White, Jaco van der Plat, and we're currently looking at Ben Hoffman at this point. And it seems that everybody is equidistantly spread apart. They've got just within sort of a second and half a second worth of room. We'll have another look back to see this little incident with Tim Rutten and Paul Godden. I think Tim Rutten just lost it mid-corner. Paul Godden left with nowhere to go. And annoyingly, that is once again just one of those things. There's not really much that either driver could have done. No intent in that, but that's just racing. Yeah,
the thing is with cars like this, you know, they brake, they accelerate, they change direction all so quickly, and it's more down to driver reaction. You know, we often say that you do get better racing in slower cars just because you've got more time to think about things. You know, you can race more closely. Formula 3 cars are like the epitome of that sort of thing, though, because consider these things in comparison to Formula 1 cars, and you know, you've got so much more time to think about what you're doing, but even then, it's not long, in fairness. So, real shame for Tim Rutten and Paul Godden there. Just a little spin by Tim, and that was that. Daniele Giudici has just been overtaken by Brian Loynes for P7. So Daniele's still on his way into the feature race at this point, but he will be down in 16th place on the grid. So basically this heat, everybody, if you don't already know, is all of the drivers that qualified in the even-numbered positions on the grid overall in qualifying before. So 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th, and so on. And then wherever they finish in this heat will then be their position in the feature race. For the top 8, that is, the ones that go through. It'll be 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th, and so on the grid for that race. But anyone that's in the top 8, that'll be. Now, Carl Newen is in 9th, and he's right behind Daniele Giudici. The XD Racing driver wants to get through. Highest placed in the Academy class at the moment. And it'd be good to see some of the Academy drivers through into the feature race, Jack. We saw a few of them at the Nürburgring, and, you know, it's always a nice little sort of spur of confidence for them, isn't it? Because, you know, they're in the lowest class in the overall field, but it's not to say that they're not quick. These guys have still got some incredible talent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been in Carl Newen's position before. I've been placed in the lowest class, and it's not exactly disheartening. I find a lot of the drivers, after speaking to a few of them, they use that as a challenge. They go, right, you want to put me in the lower class? I'm going to show you that you're wrong. I'm going to show you that I can keep up with the really quick guys. And Carl Newen is definitely doing that. Look at this Jaco van der Plat trying to work his way around the outside of Ben White in the Eclipse racing machine. And now, look, he's left himself slightly vulnerable to Ben Hoffman behind. And so far, of course, this is another little interclass battle. We've got the precision driver of Jaco van der Plat, and he's in a consistency sandwich at this point, but he's not 100% content with being sat there. And look at that, up the inside later on the brakes, and he works himself up into the top 4. A nice little move there from Jaco van der Plat. But now, of course, he's done that in Sector 1, Sector 2, houses that really long back straight. So there's going to be all that draft assistance to be utilised by Ben White. So we could see another change of position. I think Groner's had another little incident as well.
Yeah, it looks like Matthias Groner's going to be groaning about what's gone on here. Tim Rutten's just getting past Craig Schill as well. We will have a look at what happened to Matthias Groen. Oh, he's just lost it on the way out of turn 1, slams on the brakes. Don't forget as well, iRacing updated their smoke recently, so the smoke is a lot thicker and a lot harder to see through. So if you do get drivers having incidents in front of a number of other cars, it's more likely that one of them will come through, unfortunately misjudge it, and well, yeah, I mean, I'd say misjudge. You know, you've got to just take a gamble and just go for it, really, haven't you? You've got to make your bed and lie in it if it's a problem. So you will see some incidents where drivers do come through smoke and find a stationary car, and then yeah, we have more of an incident, I'm afraid. But some great racing in the mid-pack here. Van der Plat's got a bit of a train behind him with White, Loynes and Hoffman all in tow. But if I'm honest, Jack, if I was in this position right now, I'd just sort of see it out to the end, really. If, you know, there's no point battling too hard if it's just a couple of positions in a feature when you've got longer to make them up again.
Yeah, absolutely. We've passed the halfway point in the race now. If I were Ben Hoffman, I'd be more than happy just to sit behind this 4-car battle. It's almost turning into a 3-car battle at the moment, because Van der Plat, he is extending that little margin, getting himself safer into P4. But if I was Hoffman, I'd be aware that Giudice is on his way, but there's no real pressure, like you say, to get past the cars in front. If they want to have a battle, let them do it. They'll slow each other down, possibly make a mistake, run each other wide, and then you can go through and pick up the pieces, and it's only going to help you at that point. But of course, if you're just being slightly safer, it can then work for you. Look at this now in the background. Who was that trying to change position? I think that was White and Loynes. Side by side, Loynes up the inside for the moment, however, and Ben White has to settle. I'm not sure what it is, but through there, as soon as I see 2 cars side by side, I get immense anxiety just from Heat 1, seeing a couple of incidents, and already in Heat 2 we've seen a little incident through there. I can imagine the consolation race with a lot more cars going through the same piece of circuit. We may end up seeing a little more contact, let's go with.
Yeah, I'd imagine so through there. It's honestly, I think it's just PTSD from back in the MX5 days of the rookies on iRacing. Going through there, there is usually an incident of some sort going on there, but these drivers obviously a lot better than me. Look at that from Kevin Zemstra, 122.222 and 122.224 for Matthew Crisp. Now that is consistency beyond any consistency for the Fiercely Forward guys. A little bit of a moment there by Brian Loynes as Ben White is still trying to get past Ben Hoffman. Bradley Hulse in the chat, good to see him. He says, I couldn't see a corner in a league yesterday, ruined my day because of the smoke. He's right, it's a nightmare. It really can get you. So hopefully we don't see it ruining too many people's days. But at the moment, Jack, we've actually got Kevin Zemstra doing the fastest lap of the race, but we've got purple sectors from Jaco van der Plat, Brian Loynes, and then Arthur Fry. So there's a good spread of the pace again in this race, like we had in the last one.
Yeah, I was just looking over then. I was thinking, well, if Kevin Zemstra doesn't currently hold any purple sectors, how on earth has he set the fastest lap? Somehow he's managed to find a way to do it. It evidently wasn't on the on this lap that he's managed to improve upon any of those times. So maybe he's just sat biding his time. He's got quite the gap in front to his teammate, so there's no real pressure from himself, and there's no real pressure from Jaco van der Plat, so he's more than happy just sat there turning the laps, getting to the end of this race. We are currently on lap 7 of the race now. Arthur Fry just crossing the line then, and look at that gap. Himself and Fats End Engineering are doing a great job here this evening. A 121.749 posted. You can see that that's almost half a second quicker than the cars behind, possibly a little more as well. So he's just doing exactly what he needs to do. Very much an Adrian Falcon performance from Arthur Fry.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously with Adrian having the problems early on in the season, Arthur was just so fast, and he obviously took that issue for Falcon as an advantage. You know, he took it, just ran with it. So he was leading the championship for quite a while, but Adrian Falcon, I think now, has won 4 races in a row, 4 feature races that is, so he's won those events particularly. Still has Craig Vrelick saying Fry had an off-track, which is why Kevin had the fastest lap last time round. Yes, indeed. While the time was quicker, it actually didn't register, or it didn't count, let's say. So fastest lap of the race is one that's clean and has no incident points and no issues anywhere. Tim Rutten and Khan Newen have just swapped round. Oh, Khan Newen's actually just gone off. He's on the inside of the hairpin. Now this is important here because it's Tim Rutten and Daniele Giudici, which are last two in the top 8, or at least, oh actually, has Giudici got damage? I think he does, yeah. Giudici has damage. The car is not driving straight. And a few issues here with losing the stream, unfortunately, at the moment. Not quite sure what's causing it. But we plug on. We crack on. But yeah, Daniele Giudici definitely got some damage there, actually, Jack. I think there was an incident between the pair of them.
Yeah, let's see what happened here. Oh, there's just a little bit of contact. I think Tim Rutten had a bit of a moment on the way in. Very well avoided from the SRW car on the way forward. But you can see there the XD racing machine just pulling off to the side of the road. I'm not sure whether I'm 100% looking at the right thing there, or whether my SDK has decided just to bin me off and make me look at a different car. And yes, I think my my overlay has decided to have a bit of a mare, because apparently we're looking at Tim Rutten. We're evidently not. We are looking at Arthur Fry up at the top end of affairs, still with fastest lap, 121.630, set a purple sector 1, and we're already once again going through the final sector on the final lap, Chaz.
It's crazy how quick it is. I think the issues at your end might be attributed to my sudden drop of network then for a second. It might not have communicated some of the info. Either way, this is Arthur Fry. This is Okayama's final corner, and it's the last corner of Heat 2 of the night. Brilliant, brilliant drive from Arthur Fry. An amazing consistency from the two fiercely forward drives behind Matthew Crisp and Kevin Zemstra. Second and third. Fastest lap of the race again from Arthur there. Now look at this. Mad Mr. Magnet, or whatever it is. Brian Lloyd side by side across the line. Just ahead of Jacke van der Plat and Ben Hoffman. The three of them separated by less than 0.2 of a second. Ben White just behind, and Tim Rutten makes it through into the feature race. But another very, very exemplary performance from a lot of the drivers there. A little bit of argy-bargy here and there in that one, but it's to be expected when the racing is that frantic. It was a shame, though, to see that incident between Giudici and Khan Newen, because it was just Khan trying to brake as late as possible, go back down the inside of his rival there, and there was just nothing he could do. Just locked him up, lost it a little bit, and a tiny bit of contact. But here is your consolation race grid then. Ashley Beard on pole, ahead of Craig Schill, with Robbie Carendoff and Matthias Groen. Then it's Greg Parmenter and Khan Newen on row 3, ahead of Phil Reagan and Daniele Giudici on row 4. Adam Ossioala is 9th, ahead of Paul Godden, with Ross Nicholson 11th, and Stephen Grabowski 12th. Taylor Lane might line up 13th, but we're not sure because he's not taken the start in any of the other races. But Beard needs to get through here. He really does need to get through, because we know he's one of the quickest guys in the field, Jack. He knows it. But it's very frustrating when you're in a race where you feel like you should have already been through. I mean, Ross Nicholson will probably be feeling the same. Yeah,
absolutely. I was just about to touch on that. I've raced wheel to wheel with Ross Nicholson. I think it was season 1 at Interlagos. We had a great race. Absolutely loved it. And he's no slouch. And I'm sure we will end up getting a good race from himself. But we are just about to go green.
We are indeed. Already onto the consolation race this evening. It's flown by and run away. Good start, to be fair, by Ashley Beard. Craig Schill and Robbie Carendoff trying to keep it clean side by side. Ross Nicholson's gained 3 places off the start. He's absolute madman. He's got no luck whatsoever, though, as Ross, unfortunately. And it seems to just be when I'm commentating on him. So maybe having Jack in the box as well. Get it, Jack in the box. I can't believe I didn't think of that one earlier, by the way. He's now become a good omen for Ross Nicholson. That's 5 places gained. He's gone back down to 4. Now back up to 5 as he gets past Phil Reagan. So a hell of a first lap for Ross Nicholson so far. Don't forget, top 8 goes through. They make up the last 8 positions on the grid for the feature race. There's Khan Newen and Matthias Groen changing around there as well, but we'll still look at Ross Nicholson and Phil Reagan as that battle continues. Ross now just trying to get... Robbie just jumps out of the way. He says, nah, stuff it. I'm not getting involved in that one. Ross Nicholson's now gained 6 spots on this first lap, and he only has Khan Newen, Matthias Groen, Craig Schill and Ashley Beard ahead of him. Oh, straight on Phil Reagan. Hello, mate.
Yeah, decides to show off his XZ livery, and And we're going to have to correct you, Chaz. Nicholson now only has Grown, Chill and Beard ahead of him.
Yeah.
He's absolutely flying. 7 places gained on the first lap of the race, and he is definitely looking to make that 8, because you can see Matthias Groen, he's already coming under pressure from Ross Nicholson as we cross the line for the second time of asking now, heading towards turn 1. Which way is Nicholson going to go? Later on the brakes, almost a half-hearted defence there from Groen. Washes very slightly wide, and is that enough to get Nicholson through? He looks to the outside for turn 2, and I think that was Groen just slightly over-rotating the car. I don't think there was any contact. I didn't hear or see any. I may be wrong, but I think that could just be Matthias Groen over-rotating the rear end of the car. This is Carl Newen now losing out to Paul Godden. Paul's going to have to definitely find some grip round the outside if he can manage to hold on to that one. However, he is now behind onto the back straight, so he will have that draft assistance coming off Carl Newen. Is there a slight overlap? I think there is, stopping him from peeling over to the right-hand side just to get that draft assistance. He's got, who's that behind? I think that's Caranduff for SimFX Racing, looking to work his way through. He's got the best seats in the house, and they're still side by side, now heading in towards sector 2, and they decide, yeah, maybe too wide through here, given what we've already seen this evening. Maybe too wide isn't the brightest idea, but Carl Newen once again up into 4th place, and he's doing a fairly decent job. He's just not really going to do much in the way of catching Ross Nicholson, because he's on a mission.
Yeah, it's awesome racing so far. This is honestly flying by, though. I really can't believe how quickly it's gone by. I think the races are shorter or something. Carl Newen having a very big slide there. Certainly got our attention, but keeps it in front of Paul Godden for now. Paul has to think about Robbie behind him, and Robbie's got 2 spots behind him before he needs to worry about anything else. Ashley Beard does the fastest lap of the race, 1:23.9, 1:25.3 from Schill. He's having a really good run, actually. It's Craig Schill at the moment, bless him. Really, really top guy is Craig. He was rather new to iRacing. Still is, I believe. But he's got on with learning the cars. He's been driving in the Simracersworld TCR series as well. And, of course, here in the F3 series. And his learning curve has been great. You know, we've really enjoyed watching the development of Craig Schill throughout some of these series. And he's having a smashing job this evening. Well, he's doing a smashing job this evening, I should say. But it just depends on how boisterous is Ross Nicholson going to be. I think Ross will know by now that he's got the pace on him. And I think Craig will know the same. And I don't think Craig will make it too hard for him. He'll just say, look, mate, you go through. I'm happy to let you through, because I'm at least still going to get a feature race position. But 13 laps, though, much longer. So he needs to hold on for a good amount of time before the job is done. Some of these guys may have to pit in this one as well, Jack. We've seen it before where they can save fuel, get to the end, though.
Yeah, I think they might just be able to get to the end in this consolation race. Feature race, there's no way around it. You will have to pit. But like I say, Craig Schill doing a good job so far, up in 2nd place. Another 2.3 mile rotation of the Okayama circuit completed. Ross Nicholson up the inside. And this is where, coming from a driving perspective, having raced in Season 1 and Season 2 of this league, this is almost what I used to do. Craig has got everything going for him at this point, because he's got the quicker driver in front of him, so he can just sit there, learn a little bit, learn where he brakes, learn where he turns in, maybe find a little bit of pace. And of course, if he remains in this position, he'll get to the feature race, so he'll carry what he's learnt off the quicker driver into the feature race, and that can only mean good things if he can keep his nose clean. Currently looking at Carandoff on the back straight now, trying to close up on Godden, who's trying to do the same to Carl Newen. And once again, it's just an absolute draft fest down this back straight. It's all about who's later on the brakes, who can get it slowed down, more importantly, then get it turned in, and then sort of reap the rewards from all that time gained on the back straight. Stefan Grabowski on the limit at this point, currently in P8, the last of the drivers that will get promotion provisionally, of course, because Adam Osiwala for XD Racing is sat there in P9. He is almost matching him for lap time, but I've got a feeling that little bit of a moment in the background will definitely be costly. Well held, however, because touching the grass in these things, you've got to do a damn sight of arm twiddling to keep that thing pointing in the straight line. Yeah,
it's a bit of a death sentence, isn't it, really, touching the grass, especially when it's only like 1 or 2 wheels as well, and you upset the rotation of the car. 23.0 from Ashley Beard, 23.5 from Ross Nicholson. Ross has been amazing in this race. He's only 4 seconds off race leader Ashley Beard now. He's 2 seconds ahead of Craig Schill. Well, it looks like we're going to get quite a number of academy drivers in this feature race as well so far, which is always nice to see. I do want to have a quick look back and see what happened to Adam Osiwala, because him and Stephen Grabowski both went off circuit. I think Phil Reagan might have been involved in this as well. So this was Phil earlier. Locks up and goes straight on. Here's Osciawala. Oh, he just over-rotates it. Spins up the rears. And off he goes. And Stephen Grabowski had his own issue as well. Although I think actually Stephen might have gone off in sympathy with Phil Reagan. Yeah, it was earlier. Car off. Oh! Actually, he just does his best there to avoid the back of Greg Parmenter. And that's why he was a little bit further back. So it all got a little bit messy there, actually, Jack, for some of these guys. But it all started with Phil Reagan absolutely lighting up the fronts.
Yeah, it's just one little mistake and it can almost domino affect the rest of the order, and at that point in the circuit as well, because another fastest lap for Ashley Baird, a 22.941, incredibly quick time, blisteringly quick from himself. But looking at the nature of the circuit, Sector 1 and Sector 2 fairly wide open. Sector 3 is where it all condenses down. Hence why we've seen all of the, or a few of the accidents all in that section of the circuit, because that's where everybody closes up once again. But Ashley Baird 4.4 seconds clear of Ross Nicholson now, and Ross definitely isn't a slouch at this point. He's really starting to push forward, and like you say, 9 places gained from where he started. We always knew to keep an eye on him, but my God, he got most of those done in lap 1, in fairness to him. So he's got in that clean air, and now he can just sit there and relax while everything's all kicking off in the background. Craig Schill under pressure from Carl Newman now.
Yeah, Khan's really closed up. The two Academy class drivers fighting in the same championship. Carl Newman has been one of the top drivers in that class for quite a while, and he continues to be so, but Craig's holding on well at the minute. The rear wing on that car reminds me of Behemoth from Robot Wars, just because of all the caution arrows all over the back of it. I love it. But that car actually painted by my good friend James Leggett, JL Designs. A very shiny and beautiful car it is indeed, although I say shiny, most of it's matte, but you know what I mean. It's got the shiny iRacing UK logo down the side of it, and it looks absolutely brilliant. Craig doing it justice. Another fastest lap by Ashley Baird. Look at Ross Nicholson there. He's just absolutely loving life, isn't he?
He is indeed. You can see there the Lando Norris helmet popping out of the cockpit. This time, everybody looking in the right direction. Like,
oh yeah.
last round at the Nürburgring, everybody deciding that they wanted to inspect the airbox rather thoroughly throughout the race, almost DRS.
Did I?
Which probably helped. Go on.
Sorry, did I explain why that was happening? Actually,
no, you didn't.
iRacing addressed it, and now obviously it was happening to Caitlin Haight and Elizabeth Rodriguez, which are both female drivers, and iRacing now has male and female bodies for the drivers, and it was an issue within the female body sort of head bobbing physics. So as I said before, you know, I thought it was something to do with the head bobbing, but it was the physics that attributed to the female body that they model in iRacing. So because it was those two running it, yeah, they, like you say, they were very much inspecting the airbox of the car just to make sure that it was all in check. One thing that I actually haven't noticed about these cars before, and I'm amazed that I haven't, is obviously they do have that whopping great intake on the left-hand side that seems a lot more bulbous than you'd expect considering how tiny the little hole is. But the top is literally just a roll hoop, but I still see that as an intake.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking that. I sat there, I said airbox, but there's not really anything there. It is just the roll hoop. The only thing that's on that bit of the car is just the onboard camera, and yeah, there's nothing major to it. And I've seen these particular cars in real life, the Toyota and the Mercedes, and I think the Volkswagen run cars as well. There's 3 different engine manufacturers that you can squeeze into the Dallara 317s, and I think the 312s also ran a very similar configuration, and they are just so quick. They are purpose-built race cars, and you can see there Schill taking that slightly different line once again. We mentioned it earlier on. There's so many different lines you can take through there. One maybe slightly shallower, run wide on the exit. You make the most of the exit onto the straight. Also then compromise your entry to then take a slightly different exit. Look at that, much later on the brakes. Is he going to get it slowed down? He definitely is. Carl Newman textbook manoeuvre there. Later on the brakes, grabs the apex, and there you go, position made up into P3. Lovely
Stuff that by Carl Newman. Good respect from Craig Schill. He didn't make him work too hard for it, but at the same time, you still have to get it stopped. And I was just about as surprised as you were there, Jack, because it certainly looked like he'd gone late. Takes a later apex through the left-hander there, gets a nice run on the exit, and he's going to gradually try and pull away now from Craig Schill. But good stuff all the same. And I agree, you know, the the different configurations of Dallara Formula 3 cars are all very interesting. Adam Osweiler makes his own configuration there as it's attached to a wall. Doesn't look like he's damaged it, so maybe just a little spin. Ross Nicholson's taken the lead of the race.
Well, last time I looked, he was, 2.2 seconds adrift, and all of a sudden, he's managed to get that position made. So Ashley Beard, he's evidently gone off the road. At some point, we saw that in practice, sideways onto the gravel through the final corner. Lights the rears up, trying to get back on the road in desperation. And then here comes Ross Nicholson screaming past on the start-finish straight.
Hi,
Typical
mate.
Ross. He's just like, hello. Yeah, let me just grab the lead on the way through. And there you go, Ross Nicholson up into P1.
And now they're both weaving down the back straight. You've got to love it. I mean, it might be a bit frustrating for the guys behind because they're thinking, oh, come on, don't take the mick. Oh, Robbie Carendoff. Robbie Carendoff's had an accident, and so too is Greg Parmenter. Those two were the last two positions, and, well, that's not quite out the wheels and a point, really, on the front of a Dallara Formula 3 car. But this is important because those two were in position to get into the feature. Oh, no. I have to say that's on Greg because, you know, while Robbie did lose it there, he does suddenly gain traction. You go left, but there was no sign of a lift from Greg. He didn't really play it too safe, and unfortunately, that's ended his race and obviously ended Robbie Carendoff's as well, although he's going for the low downforce configuration. I'm not sure how that car's going to behave, or if it is going to behave at all, never mind how it's going to behave. But I imagine it won't be great. I always remember, actually, getting a little bit nerdy and nostalgic here, with the old PlayStation 2 game, Formula 1 2001. If you had damage at a track like Monza or Hockenheim, and you lost the rear wing, and you booted it and went across a chicane without slowing down whatsoever, the car would start sort of rattling and rocking back and forward really aggressively until it took off and just spiraled through the air at mad speed. So I really hope that Robbie would try that, but obviously he's in this for a position and not just to mess about on a PlayStation 2 game. But it actually I was going to say it. Oh, no. Go on, Robbie. I was going to say it was actually seeming like it was behaving itself there, but unfortunately not. And I really do feel for Robbie there because it was just a tiny little mistake and then he got absolutely ploughed. And of course I feel sorry for Greg as well because we both know what sort of split-second decisions you need to make in these cars, and unfortunately in that one, Greg just didn't quite judge it correctly, and it's a mistake that anyone would make, so please don't be offended, Greg, because it was certainly one that I'd do as well. I'd probably do the same thing. But we've actually got a bit of a fight going on here now. These two may be very pally with each other on track, but Ross Nicholson, who started 11th on the grid, is still leading this race after gaining 10 spots in just over 10 laps. It's absolutely bonkers. But different teams these paired over get. SimStickers are at Simracersworld and Altitude XZ Esports. Both culminations of two teams within themselves, actually, which is quite interesting. So there's more pride on the line than normal here, Jack.
Yeah, they're almost flying the flag for the two teams they are in theory representing. And like you say, it's the split-second decisions definitely do play a part in the series. It's very easy to say up here, oh, just aim for the car. That tends to be how the saying goes. If you've got a car spinning in front of you, aim for the car. Adam Osweiler, you definitely wouldn't want to aim for him in the gravel trap. You'd end up in the catch fencing, but still manages to hold on to P8. Let's see how this came about. Does he touch the grass on the outside? No, just almost Scandinavian flicks into the apex. Ends up pointing backwards in the gravel, grabs a gear and gets going once again. He is still on the verge of that promotion, so he should still just about get into that feature race, so let's hope that that is the case. But yeah, the saying tends to go, if a car's spinning in front of you, aim for it, because by the time you get to that point on the circuit, the car won't be there anymore. And I think in that case, it probably would have worked. Very easy to say while we're up here in the commentary box, and we're not actually behind the wheel, of course, but Ross Nicholson definitely putting in some work behind the wheel. 3 tenths, almost 4 tenths the gap between the pair of them now, and of course we've still got 2 laps of the race remaining, so just under 8 kilometers of racing still to go. And Ashley Beard, he's all over the tail of our race leader. He is hungry to get that position back after a slight mistake earlier on.
Yeah, indeed, and it was the tiniest of mistakes as well. Just shows you how fragile these cars are, not just physically but to drive as well. Ash made his way through his heat with a lot of damage on the front left wing, so he's going to be making the most of this car handling its best now, and I think it might have just got the better of him. Tucks right into the slipstream of Ross Nicholson now in the SimStickers Simracersworld car. Down towards the hairpin they go. Is he going to look? He's going to look. Is he going to go for it? No. They break about the same point. Awesome chase though, either way. Down the hill they go. Tough to get that corner right. There's a bit of a bump on the exit that can upset the car. This is a bit more flat here, but again, the curbs can hurt you. Mind out for the AstroTurf. Tiny little back straight. Looks a lot longer from the external cameras. Long left up the hill. Now the circuit comes to you here, so it's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it, really? Because suddenly you get this bucket load of grip as you turn in, and it's easy to over-rotate the rear end.
Yeah, you're almost overconfident on the way through that quick right-hander that we've just been through, the penultimate corner. Very easy to over-rotate the car on the curb as well, and the best sounding curb on the circuit. I always used to purely run the car wide, in essence, just to get that curb, because it sounds amazing when it's rattling through the tyres. Fastest top of the race there from Ashley Bird, a 122.432. Of course, that is definitely keeping up with the higher guys, and very nearly ended up all in tears. They're running very, very slightly wide, 2 wheels off the road. Through the gravel he went, and he does continue on. However, that has cost him dearly, back up to 4/10 the gap now, and all he has to do is think, right, is this going to happen? Am I going to get the position? If he's not in the lead by the end of the straight, I think purely just for safety, he may as well just go, right, okay, it's not going to happen. I've given it my best. I've led a few laps. There's no way. It would be dangerous, almost clumsy to try and go for this move now and just ease it back a little bit. But he's a sim racer. That's not going to be the case. You are going to fight for that position right until the line. And we're already, once again, Chaz, just heading into the final sector on the final lap of the consolation race. We've only got 19 more laps of racing in this feature race here, or in the feature race on its way. So tonight it's just absolutely flying by. And look at this, Craig Shield trying to fend off Paul God. And he is now down into P5, but that is still promotion area for himself. Ross Nicholson headed towards the line now, Chaz.
Yeah, it's absolutely epic performance by Ross Nicholson. He'll be so pleased with that. Well done, Ross Nicholson. Starts 11th on the grid, takes the win in the consolation race. Ashley Beard second. He'll still be pleased with that after a strong drive. Carn Newen will be third. Craig Schill should be fourth. Is Stephen Grabowski going to beat him? Because Paul Godden has had an issue. Craig Schill and Paul Godden both having an issue on that final lap. Craig gets it done. And Mattis Groen. This is going to be his first feature race in 2 seasons. After all the practice that he puts in and all of the hard work, he's going to get through into the feature. Hats off to Matthias Groen. Great stuff, mate. Awesome to see. And it's this sort of driver development that we love. Adam Osiawala is in the background. He's going to go through. I just want to quickly look at what happened with Craig Schill and Paul Godden. So Paul's down the inside. It's through the left. We'll go on... No, we won't go on a different camera.
Oh, no.
Still side by side. Now, is Paul going to go off and Craig going to catch him? This must have just been after we looked at them. We looked away about now. Oh, Paul's lost it. Craig stops, gets going again, and that's how Grabowski got so close to him. But Paul still manages to get through to the feature race. But wow, oh wow. Ross Nicholson was a real star in that one, wasn't he, mate? That was awesome fun to watch.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those drivers that we need to watch in the feature race on the way. For me, we can start naming drivers all evening on who we need to look out for. But I think for me, Sammy Venables definitely up there. Arthur Fry, as per usual. And I think, yeah, James Forsyth, don't really rule him out, because I think he'll be there or thereabouts for Altitude X racing. So a couple of familiar names, a couple of names that we don't normally see up there. But Sammy Venables, for me, he's on for a good night here.
Yeah, I'd say so. And there are just an unbelievable number of very quick drivers in this. It just shows you how good the likes of Adrian Falcon and Arthur Fry are, though. You know, they can stand out amongst a field like this. It really is pretty scary, to be fair. What we're going to do, though, everybody, is our usual here on Simracersworld TV. Jack and I are just going to take a quick 5-minute break while warm-up is underway. But we'll be back with you in a few. We'll then go over the final results of the first 2 heats and the consolation. And then we'll get on with the feature. So join us in a few minutes. We'll be right back with you.
it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white, white, white. It's black and white. Black and white. It's black and white. It's black and white.
Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Jack Werrell here on Simracersworld TV for the Sim Stickers Simracersworld Formula 3 series. We've been having an absolutely fantastic evening so far that really has flown by, but you do always hear the phrase, time flies when you're having fun, and that's certainly what we've got here tonight at Okayama. And to be fair, Jack, we've had some very, very enticing races so far. Similar performances to what we expect from some of these drivers, but some great battling all the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Adrian Falcon once again back up at the top end of affairs here in this little warm-up. But we're looking at the person I was actually going to talk about, Caitlin Hayes. After what was a good round at Nürburgring a few weeks ago, she's following it up with once again another good performance here at Okayama this evening. in that number 100 RSR Esports by G Performance Dallara Formula 3 car, and let's hope she can follow it up with a good feature race on the way. We are starting to see a lot of the consistency drivers really start to bring it to the precision drivers. Ben White, Michael Viota and Philip Russell all up at the pointy end of this warm-up session. So is Tim Rutten and Wayne Palmer. I do want to keep an eye out on Ross Nicholson and, of course, Sammy Venables in this feature race. Those are the two drivers for me. If two drivers are going to have a good race, it's going to be those two. We may still see Adrian Falcon up at the top end of the order and just leave everybody in the dust. But for me, it's going to be Ross Nicholson and Sammy Venables that are the drivers that are going to stand out in this 19-lap feature race on the way.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a long race for these guys in comparison. I mean, 8 laps absolutely flew by, but as you say, 19 laps will take a bit of time in comparison. So there's a bit more of an endurance factor involved here. Obviously pit stops as well, so they need to consider how they're going to manage that. We've not really seen anybody ever take a light amount of fuel and pit early, but we do see quite the difference in when people pit over the course of a race, so that's something to definitely keep an eye on. Pick for me though has to be this man, Adrian Falcon. Like I said, he's won the last 4 events in a row. He didn't win at Bathurst because he had an incident early on in his evening and couldn't quite make it back up the order as quickly as he would have liked to, and Arthur Fry took that event. But Arthur in himself has just been unbelievable this season, hard to match. But yeah, Adrian is just seems slightly untouchable at the minute. I mean, he's 8/10 faster than anybody else in warm-up alone, which is just bonkers. And of course, these are the conditions that they're now going to be racing in as well. So it's certainly going to make some of these drivers think, oh no.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the case. The number 1 machine right the way up at the well, I was going to say he's knocking on the door of a 121.94 in race conditions on a race setup, and there you go, 121.94 in race conditions on that race setup. And of course, that is not having any draft. He is just catching up to the tail end of one of the fiercely forward GSI cars. I'm just trying to figure out who that is. That's Jaco van der Plat in the number 57 machine. But you've got to think, now he's going to have draft on this lap, so he's only going to go quicker. A little bit of a blink from Van der Plat, so I'm sure. Oh, well, it's all gone wrong. They've decided they're having so much fun. They're going to show off some confetti, and I'm hoping Adrian Falcon is not in VR, because I can imagine he won't be feeling quite as sober as he was before that little incident.
I imagine it was hilarious, but here we go. Oh God, I hope nobody's watching on a big TV at home, because flipping heck, even on a 22-inch monitor, that made me go a little funny. Oh God, right. Anyway, back to serious business. Adrian Falcon and Arthur Fry on the front row. Real superstar showdown here, as we've had all season. Sammy Venables then lines up alongside Matthew Crisp with James Forsyth, Kevin Zemstra, still has Craig Vrolic, Brian Loynes, Caitlin Hayton, Jaco van der Plat just behind. We'll filter through the rest of them because these guys take up a lot of these grid spaces very, very quickly for the feature race. But based on the grid though, Jack, is there anyone in particular that you fancy in this one, mate? Because I know you gave us some lists before, but let's narrow it down to one.
Oh God, 19 laps. I've got to think consistency and attrition. It's going to be Venables. I'm going to put it there. It's going to be Venables. He kept it clean. He kept it consistent in his heat race, and let's hope he can do the same in this 19-lap feature race. Lights coming on now.
Here we go then, round 6. The feature race in the SimStickers Simracersworld Formula 3 series from Okayama is away. The lights were not on for long, and look at the two Fat Send engineering cars swapping over. Matthew Crisp says, all right then, if you're going to do it, I'll do it as well. But Arthur Fry straight on the attack to chase down Adrian Falcon. And the field streams through turns 1 and 2. It looks brilliant at Okayama, such momentum through these corners. We'll go on the Blimpy boy so you can see them all filtering their way through. But no contact as of yet, he says, touching wood as they go down to the right-hander, hard on the brakes into there. Adrian Falcon is around! Falcon is off!
Indeed. That is not.
We've got a number of cars off. Oh, heck, Brian Loynes has had a real hit. Oh, Matthias Groen. That's gutting. Arthur Fry is dropping down the order as well. I feel that's guilty conscience maybe by Arthur, or maybe he's just lost out in the slipstream. We have to look at this, because that is some of the biggest drama we could have like I said, superstar showdown between the pair of them. What's gone on here?
So let's see what happened.
He's done it on his own.
Adrian Falcon, yeah, he has done it on his own. And Arthur Fry just goes screaming past, and there you go. Adrian Falcon, evidently, well, you have won, 4 back-to-back races. It gets to your head maybe slightly, and there you go. Just maybe slightly complacent on the first lap. Of course, cold rear tyres, he just over-rotated at the rear, and my boy Venables up at the front. We aren't biased as commentators, but I mean, I said he's going to be the one to look out for, and all he has to do is keep it clean and almost keep it controlled at this point. Fastest lap of the race at 28.988. Of course, not that representative of any sort of race time. And Arthur Fry, his Fats Engineering teammate, is sat there in P3, so he can pile the pressure on Matthew Crisp just to buy his teammate a little bit of time up at the front. And of course, like you say, who was it that got caught out in that? Matthias Grön, for the first time in the second time in 2 seasons getting to his feature race, he's already out the race.
Yeah, I'll be absolutely gutted. So we'll try and pick this apart then. So Falcon goes around on his own, and then behind it all, just have a quick ganders in there. So, okay, Brian Loynes has lost it on his own. He's then on the inside. Who does he get clipped by? Because that is Viota coming through. Oh, no, sorry. That is the XZ racing car of Hoffman. Oh, I think he gets hit by his teammate, does he?
Yeah.
I think it is one of his teammates. Through the middle there. Is that Ross Nicholson? I think it was Ross Nicholson going through the middle. And then there's just a big check-up and bang! The Simracersworld car goes into him. That's Matthias Grön. That's absolutely gutting for Matthias. Go on board and see how it looked from here. Paul Godden dropping down the order. Sorry, Ben White dropping down the order. So there's Matthias. He's on the outside, goes to the inside. Suddenly, bang, car in the way. Straight in the side of the monocoque there. That is not good stuff for him. Ben Hoffman is going down the order. He's just had a bit of a minute there, hasn't he? By the look of it. We've actually had a few drivers have issues. Stephen Grabowski has gone off. The car's broken. I think he's actually had some damage from earlier on. Then Silas Craig Vrolik went off as well. He's got Zemstra behind him. Oh, heck. Oh, heck, boys. And then Ben White has had an issue. So it's all adding up for these guys. That's down the inside of Tim Rutten. Whoa, locks them up. And that was Godden going off as well. Ben Hoffman then had a problem. Oh, there's Ben Hoffman's spin, just a bit further after that. And now we've got Ross Nicholson in strife. As it
We do.
He
said he went off the road. Yeah, I saw that as well. He said he went off the road, but he does continue on. Currently in 12th place. Sammy Venables was under intense pressure from his teammate. I looked over and 0.07 seconds was the gap to Arthur Fry behind, possibly just bum drafting him down that back straight. And now maybe a bit of team play. Of course, Arthur Fry, he is still a championship contender, but he's got his teammate, his might I hasten to add, his consistency class teammates up at the front, setting the fastest lap of the race at 22.931. So maybe he's just going, right, okay, well, you go off into the distance, I'll deal with the guys behind, and let's see what we can do about getting some good points for the team. And while this is going on, of course, Arthur Fry maybe slightly just driving at, 99%, not quite at that full 100 to stay on Venables. He's wanting to maybe slightly slow up Matthew Crisp, but Forsyth is doing a damn good job at that for him. And you can see now what that's 4 cars closing up on the tail of them. Yeah, that's Zemstra and Craig Frolic all closing up, and then you've got this little battle as well with Viota, and that's Caitlin Haight on the outside. Now it was looking like it was going to develop into the inside. Viota later on the brakes. Does he grab the apex? They get very close at the apex, and they're still just about side by side. Great defensive driving from Caitlin Haight, and she stays in front.
Awesome stuff. Really kept the determination strong there. That was great from Caitlin. All over the grass though. Now Viota gets a run, looks down the inside, and that's how quickly it can go from being brilliant to not so brilliant from your driver's perspective. Viota up into 8th position. Don't forget, they don't really need to progress anywhere after this race. Now, where is Adrian Falcon? He's down in 15th place. He's been making his way back up the order because he was about 20th after that incident due to the other cars that went off. And another fastest lap from Sammy Venables. This is incredible. We're going to get the hashtag Venables for Pro popping up in the chat very soon, I'm sure. But Arthur Fry, importantly, in 2nd place. This is going to be big for the championship for him, because every time that Adrian Falcon has won one of these races, Arthur Fry has been right there with him. Arthur Fry has been so consistent with scoring points that the gap hasn't extended to be too massive at this point. So he needs this, really does need it. But what you were saying before, Jack, about being held up, I think that you were saying slightly slower. Is that the opposite to fiercely forward?
See,
I've heard bravely I've heard bravely backwards, but not slightly slower.
Well, at the moment, it seems like Matthew Crisp is driving slightly slower than what I would expect from himself. We're currently looking at Paul Godden on the inside of the 220 of Adam Osiwala, and it looks like he's got that position made. However, Adam does have the inside, and let's hope there's no contact. I'm sure it really wasn't that close, but from that camera angle, it makes it look like they're crashing into each other. And now look, that's once again the entrance of Sector 3, catching out another driver. Paul Godden losing out to Ben White. Ben Hoffman now making a big lunge up the inside, and that's 3 positions lost. He was looking to gain one, ended up losing 1, possibly 2 here. So it shows Paul Godden maybe slightly overambitious, and it's all come and done for him. There is Arthur Fry. He's decided, you know what, I'm not going to start worrying about Matthew Crisp in the background anymore, and I'm going to start focusing on my teammate, push each other around and see what they can do. Adrian Falcon fastest lap of the race at 21.939, incredibly quick. Now look at Forsyth in towards what will be turn 5, turn 6, on towards the back stretch we go, and James Forsyth up into that podium place. However, that has now left Crisp and Zemstra, both the fiercely forward guys, then Craig Frolic for fiercely forward GSI, both sat in the background. So it's 3 fiercely forward cars, almost 4 in the background now, all working together. And James Forsyth, he's only just got that position, and he's already under pressure from Crisp, losing that, almost losing that again into the hairpin. And look at it, I can't keep up. There's just 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. I don't know who to look at.
Crisp has got back down the inside, actually, of James Forsyth, and now he's really in a fiercely forward sandwich here. You could call it a Crisp butty. Oh, I think there might have been a tiniest of touches there. Crisp gets sideways. Forsyth has to try and hang it around the outside of Zemstra. They've then got still has Craig Frolic behind her, then Jaco van der Plaat as well. So all the fiercely forward. There is fiercely forward of them, all surrounding poor James Forsyth. But, well, there's 4 forward round 4 Stike at the moment. We're not on lap 4 though, we're on lap 7. But either way, the whole field is so close though. We've got so many drivers that really are bunched together. It's incredible. Ashley Beard is here trying to get past Ross Nicholson. Obviously these 2 sparring partners from the consolation race. They've got an Adrian Falcon chasing them down. He needs to get as many points out of this as he can now, but real star of the race for me has been Sammy Venables. I mean, absolutely corking stuff so far. Look at that. The 2 Fats End Engineering guys. That's Fat Gap Engineering at the moment, isn't it? They're just completely opening it. It's like part of the seas.
I'm not sure whether they're watching the stream, but I think maybe I should be some sort of wow. Like a Vector. Somehow kept it on the road, somehow avoided any sort of contact with Van der Plaat in front, and continues on in 8th place. I thought maybe that was some sort of maybe avoidance driving, but no, he was just desperate to get by. But I'm not sure whether Venables and Fry are watching the stream, but at the very start of the night, when we're in the heat races, I said, Venables, you doing all right tonight? Fry, you doing all right tonight? At the start of this race, Venables, my money's on you. And now look what they've done. They just made the most of Forsyth, slowing down the fiercely forward guys, and they've just disappeared into the distance. That's definitely, to put it one way, we are now starting to see a bit of pit strategy play out. Of course, I completely forgot about that. We do have pit strategies to work on. We've got Craig Frolic, Nicholson, Falcon, more importantly, in the pit lane, as well as Rutten. Fastest lap of the race from Arthur Fryer, 121.746. And of course, he is pushing Venables around. So inadvertently, they are just going to help each other disappear into the distance. If they pit at the same time, they'll leave the pit lane at a similar sort of time as well. So at the moment, Fast End Engineering, if they play their cards right, they could be on for an absolute monster of a round 6.
Yeah, they're really having an absolute corking night. Loving watching this, to be fair. Really top pairing as well. Sammy Venables and Arthur Fry. Arthur doing an awesome lap time last time round though. That 21.7 is very quick. Sammy Venables doing the typical 122.222 in the 112 car ahead of the 22 car in second position, number 2. It's all of the 2s for these, and there's 2 of them as well. So are they going to pit now, or do you reckon they're going to just try and make this last as long as possible? Because when you're in a rhythm like this, you do want to stay out on track. We often see that in motorsport, don't we? The leader of a race will not be the one to do any sort of undercut. They'll just make it last and pit as late as they dare.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if they are in contact, which I'm sure they are, Arthur Fry will be saying, just go, drive your own race, forget I'm here, I will not be going for that move. You just do what you need to do. I'll play rear gunner and stop anybody from coming at you. Jaco van der Plat now diving into the pit lane, and it's so valuable that the two teammates are still up close and personal at the top end of affairs, because like you say, they can just stay in that rhythm and drag the car for as deep into the stint as they dare. And if that's what 13-14 laps, going off what we learned from the consolation race, they should be able to carry on. But now look what you've done, Arthur Fry. You've gone and taken the lead off your team, mate. Arthur Fry up into the lead. Venables now down in second, on towards the back straight.
Yeah, incredible turnaround from the pair of them, but it's not over yet. And this isn't really the teamwork we expected, but I imagine they're having a great time of racing it, at least. It's just they need to be so careful not to make contact. We've seen teammates make contact before. Sammy Venables gets out of that there and says, no, I don't think I'm going to push that hard to do that. But let's remember that Arthur Fry is the one with the overall championship implications on his shoulders. Sammy Venables goes, you know what, stuff it. We're in the same livery, we're in the same team, I don't care. Still going to have some good racing. I think one of them should pit here just to say, no, let's not do this. But no, they both continue. They both push on for another lap. They will do the 10th lap of the race, just behind. Forsyth is right behind Crisp as well. These guys not pitting yet, as you can see on the left-hand side. Jaco van der Plat, the highest placed driver that has pitted. Ashley Beard just got past Philip Russell. That's because he's coming in. Further back, Craig Schill and Ross Nicholson close together with Adrian Falcon just in front. Ross Nicholson just got past Craig actually there, and James Forsyth has just got past Matthew Crisp. So there is constantly stuff going on, and this is why we love this championship, isn't it, Jack? There is always something going on in Formula 3 cars, but when you've got heat racing as well and it's short frantic races, it's just excellent entertainment.
It really is. Like you say, we've got 4 races throughout the night. Look at this now, Paul Godden up the inside of Osiwala, just about managed to hold on to that. Adam then looks to the inside for turn 2, but nothing comes his way. But yeah, we've got heat racing, we've got class racing, we've got multiple teams, we've got the leaders, which are teammates, swapping positions. And this is arguably the most important race of the season, because it's at that turning point side by side through Sector 3. I don't want to watch. I said at the start of the night both of them will be doing well, but this isn't quite what I had in mind. Does Arthur Fry get it slowed down? Compromise his line on the way in, and they've only lost, out of all this battling, 0.3 of a second, well, half a second now to James Forsyth. They're just getting closer and closer together. They're battling harder and harder. And for me, I want to shout at them. I want to tell them to stop, because they are in such a good championship opportunity. They've got everything that they need at their disposal. The last thing they need to do is battle. And now Forsyth, he has managed to get past Crisp as he's gone into the pit lane. The floodgates have opened, and all he needs to do is get his head down and focus on towards those 2 leaders. And I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to support them battling, because it's great to watch them and it's teammates. It's very Red Bull-esque, but at the same time I want them to stop, because for me they've both had a great start to the night and I'd hate to see them ruin it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's very similar to the first time we saw Hamilton and Rosberg properly fight at Bahrain a few years ago, which was only actually years ago to the other day actually. And I mean, well, it was 2014 now, so it was 7 years ago that happened, which is just frightening. But yeah, it's that sort of battle, isn't it? You know, you've got 2 of the fastest guys on track. They're both teammates, but they're both fighting for the race lead as if their lives depend on it, and it's awesome to watch. It really is. Oh, there's a car around. Oh no, the 2 fiercely forward GSI cars. Silas Craig Rollick and Jaco van der Plat. Please don't tell me they've made contact, because this will be very un-Hamilton and Rosberg-esque. Yep. Oh, Silas, mate. Oh, he's going to get a Silas Craig Rollick in for that one. I tell you what, that's not going to go down well at all, is it?
No, I can imagine Ollie Slade is he's going to have to bring them into a quiet little Discord chat and go, right, sit down, be quiet, and give them the Gunter Steiner treatment.
Oh, yeah.
While they're sat there. Another fastest lap of the race from Arthur Fry, 121.73. We've got Sammy Venables dropped into the 121, so has James Forsyth. All that battling. and they've slowed each other down, and they've now got James Forsyth lapping pretty much on leader pace. What have they done? There's still.
What have you done?
I know there's still 8 laps of the race remaining, and a pit stop, of course. And you look at Matthew Crisp; he's in 10th place. He's already done his pit stop. He doesn't need to focus. So has Adrian Falcon. He's done his pit stop. He doesn't need to focus on anything else. Fastest lap of the race at 21.668. Doubt he'll get that much closer to the top 5. However, those 2 Fast End Engineering cars, I was rooting for them. I just hope they haven't done something they'll regret come the end of the race.
And Adam Osceola, he's not stopped yet, so he will lose some positions, but he's the highest placed in the Academy class. He's gained 13 places so far in this race. His nearest rival in his class is Craig Schill, who is 40 seconds back. Now, in the pit lane, we've been seeing people spend between 33 and 37 seconds, so it's 38 and a bit, actually, to Craig Schill at the minute. So they'll be very close when he comes back out of the pits, but it obviously depends on what he can do until that point. Ashley Beard now has got ahead of Caitlin Haight because Caitlin has come in the pit lane. The car is in there somewhere, trust us, behind all that catch fencing. But we just got a quick look there, didn't we, at Adrian Falcon in the background behind Adam Osceola. Like you said, Jack, fastest lap of the race last time round, some 2 seconds quicker than Osceola. I'm not sure where to predict where Adrian will end up, because in terms of the cars ahead, let me just see where 40 seconds ahead would get him. You know what?
That's going to be close.
Arthur Fry is 33 seconds ahead.
Yeah, that's going to be incredibly close, and that's why I was almost hoping the Fast End Engineering cars would just stop battling. They'd just get their head down, forget about what's going on, and just focus. But yeah, like you say, that is going to be incredibly close. They are very close to the exit of the pit window now. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the top guys that haven't pitted, the top 8, still yet to pit. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them pull into the pit lane this time. This is Matthew Crisp, currently on the road, the leading car with a pit stop made. Venables in the pit lane now. Arthur Fry has dared to continue on for another lap. Forsyth does the same, so does Zemstra. What does Viota do? He does the same. Ashley Beard, will he continue on? And this is the first time, once we see Matthew Crisp and Venables back out on circuit, this is when we will see how much that battling really cost the FSE cars. What was that? That was Osceola off the road. There was no tyre smoke, so I'm not sure whether that was just a bit of a spin, a half spin, something like that. Venables in 6th place now, having rejoined the circuit, but Osceola evidently with a slightly odd little incident there.
Yeah, 34 seconds in the pits was Venables, and Matthew Crisp was also 34 seconds, and that's the difference between the two. The Falcon does another fastest lap of the race, though, and he is now 33 seconds off Arthur Fry. So I'm wondering whether Arthur calculates this enough to take less fuel, because at the moment it looks like Sammy Venables is going to win this race, but pit stop times are about the same. Although Sammy's 23 seconds off Arthur now, so I think there is some sort of calculation that isn't quite right in all of that. But we'll have to see. But Arthur Fry now in the pits. So here he is. Okay, so yeah, it counts the fast bit as in the pits. So he's already been in for 9 seconds apparently, which is intriguing. So it's sort of similar race pace. So he can take off about 10 seconds of that. So that would make sense, because it was about 23 seconds to Venables, and we said it's about 33, 34 in the pits. So let's see where Sammy is now then. Everybody will have pitted after this point, so we'll get rid of the pointless graphic. Here is Sammy. And there is Arthur, already on his way out. 33 seconds in the pits. Great stuff. 4.3 second stop. Where's Chris Beat? There he is. Is he going to get past Viota? He is. Is he going to get past Zemstra? He's not. Adrian Falcon up into 7th position. Beard is up into 8th. He's gained 10 spots, but Adrian Falcon, good damage limitation here, in 7th spot now. And he's got his teammate in front of him. You've got to think, will Viota help him out in this situation, Jack?
Yeah, that's what you've got to think about. Of course, it's one of those things. You think Viota, he's sat there trying to chase down the top 5. But if you've got Falcon behind you, one, you can't really do much in the way of defending from him, but two, if you let him by, there's a chance that will motivate everybody else and maybe pile a slight bit more pressure onto Venables. Of course, Viota and Venables both in the same class, but still quite the gap back to Forsyth. So it's very wishful thinking from myself heading in towards these final few laps. But it's little things like that. If you are in Viota's position, you've got to think about. You've got to do little calculations, thinking if I let him by, is that pressure then going to apply further up the grid and then maybe slow people down? And could that then play back on me? But I don't think that will be the case, because we're now seeing Crisp and Zemstra battle away. Let's hope they don't reach the same fate as their GSI counterparts. But for the moment, it's still looking rather clean. Arthur Fry up at the top end of affairs. Venables still sat there in second. Consistent 21s from himself, so he's definitely improved over the evening in regards to lap time. What happened there? That's Viota and Falcon. They've swapped positions, yeah. They have indeed.
Let him go down the straight. Look, very Hakkinen Coulthard-esque. Viota pulls over, slows down, and through goes your reigning champion, Adrian Falcon. So teamwork coming into play. Nice stuff, Markel. Thank you very much, he says, or gracias, as they would say in Spain. We have 3 Brits on the podium at the moment. Arthur Fry, Sammy Venables, and James Forsyth. James has been great tonight, to be fair. We haven't really given him too much airtime, but that Altitude XZ Esports car has been flying with him at the wheel. He's been quick all season, in fairness, but he's just had a few bits of bad luck here. Really bad luck at Interlagos as well. But it's been great to watch James this season. And he's not too far back. He's only 2.5 seconds off Venables, so that could all still change, Jack. We've got 3 more laps to go.
Don't even mention it. I want to see the FSE cars get a good result. And look at Paisley Forward. They're still there or thereabouts. They're always up at the pointy end of affairs, so they must be absolutely reeling in the points for that team's championship. And this is a little battle here for 4th and 5th place. And of course, you take a lot of cautions when you're battling nose to tail in these cars, regardless of who it is, but when it's your teammate, even more so. But you've got to think, are they just going to throw that out the way? They're going to say, right, I know you're my teammate, but we really need to get our heads down here because we've got Falcon on the way. And 9 times out of 10, if you can get past one of you, you can get past 2. What's happened there?
Whoa.
Tim Rutten on the exit, great avoidance driving. There, I don't know how they do it. I just don't know how they do it. There's so the reactions are just so quick. You've got to be so on point with the reactions. Look at that, Tim Rutten sideways through the final corner onto the gravel, lights up the rears, and nearly ends up in the middle of the road. Decides, you know what? Don't move, just don't move. If you don't move, they won't see me. That was so close there. Who was that went screaming by? I think that was Craig Frolic that nearly collected Rutten there.
Oh, Yakko had his own moment just before that, actually. Pretty sure it was Yakko. He's down the inside of Ben White, goes a little bit deep, and then... he got out of it, then lost the place to Ben White, because Ben got the run. And, Osiowala's off. That's out of the Academy class lead.
It is.
There goes Craig Schill.
That's, obviously great for Craig. It's nice to see that he is up in the lead. But Osiwala is having a fairly good race here. So this is looking at Osiwala now in towards turn 1. Just goes slightly too hot on the gravel, and there's nothing much you can do there. Then just finds himself in the wall, and it grabs the rear end of the car, slams the front in even harder. And there you go. Lead lost, race over, and lead inherited for Craig Schill, the number 282 machine, while he is down in 19th place. That is class lead, like you say.
Yeah, be very pleased with that at the moment. We're already on to lap 18 of this race. So only 1 more lap to go after this. Kevin Zemstra still holding on to 4th place. Matthew Chris Belly holding on to his sanity in 5th place. Bad look of it on the exit of turn 2. But look behind them. Would you believe it? If you were Matthew Crisp and you'd seen Adrian Falcon spin out of the lead at the very start of the race and drop way off your relative box in the bottom right of your screen or wherever you have it, and now to see him on your relative again, you're thinking, what have you got to do to stop this man? He may not be taking his 5th win in the row, but my God, it's like the Terminator. He just keeps coming back.
You've got to think, if this was in real life, thankfully, obviously, or hopefully, the drivers would all be okay, bearing in mind the incidents we've seen this evening. But you've got to think, surely the stewards must have to be all over this car to think, what has he got under there? Because he's evidently got another 100 horsepower over everybody else, because he's consistently lapped quicker than every other car on the grid. And like you say, he pretty much found himself plumb last at the end of turn 1, or at the end of lap 1, sorry, and he's now right the way back up into P6, going on to the final lap of the race. all things considered, there could be P4 on the cards for him here, but Arthur Fry, Sammy Venables, P1, P2, and now Forsyth sat there in third place, the last step on the podium. Look how close Falcon is now, Chaz. He's really starting to pile the pressure on those firstly forward cars.
Yes, it's almost scary now as Silas Craig Vrolik has become Silas Crash Vrolik again, I'm afraid. Oh, it's Jaco van der Plat. Whoa, way up, sunshine. That's not to plan. It came up that he'd just gone off track, and I thought, oh, well, we'll see what happens with it. As Tim Rutten's had his own moment. Oh, he heats up the tyres by sliding it. So what happens to Silas? Whoa. He's had his own moment going off, and then Jaco sees that and thinks, nah, watch this, mate. oh, wow. That's a big old hit, that is, for Silas, and unfortunately out of the race now. Very frustrating evening. It's not been frustrating for Arthur Fry. I bet he's had an absolute ball with this one, Jack.
He has indeed. Of course, he's had the assistance of his teammate all the way there. Sammy Venables, standout driver for me this evening, as well as Arthur Fry. Just Fast End Engineering have done exactly what they need to do through the final corner for the final time. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Arthur Fry to take the win of the feature race, take away Adrian Falcon's win record of the 4 back-to-back wins. Then it's Venables, then it's Forsyth, Zemstra and Crisp just about managed to fend off the amazing recovery drive of Falcon. What's happened to Ross Nicholson through the final corner? I think he was in P11 at the time, now down into P12. Does he lose any further positions?
He was in about
he wasn't P12.
He was in about P8 before, and he's had this happen. Broken the front right, and then he's trying to, oh God, he's just trying to then drag it home, but he's lost a number of positions now after going off at the very final corner. Silas Craig Vrolik has gone off again. So we'll have to have a look at what happened to him. So this is what happened to Ross as he tried to make it. But look, the car just wants to go left. He's turning right as hard as he can. Silas has had a moment right at the end of the race as well. He finished behind Ross and behind Ben Hoffman, who was the car there just in front of him. He's not done the same again, has he? What's happened here? Oh, actually, Ross is just going to beat him over the line because he's going at just the right speed. That was so close, that. And then, oh, okay, wow. That's what Silas did to end the car's evening. But amazing stuff from Arthur Fry. Oh, look at this. Oh. I think there was some sort of party going on the back straight. Let's have a look. Yeah, he's doing his donuts. Oh, no. Not with iRacing's new Smoke Boys. Not down that straight. So Arthur... Oh my God.
Whoa.
I think there was a crash there. That was rather anticlimactic. I think it was Mark Elviota who came through all that there. Let's just have a look at this one. Well, with Mark L. So everyone's having a bit of fun up front.
I think he avoided one, avoided the other, and then thought, oh, well, there's another.
Oh my. Fantastic stuff from Mark Elviota. Absolutely awesome fun. But wow, what a brilliant race that was. Absolutely awesome. And Arthur Fry indeed takes the win tonight. A 1-2 for Fast End Engineering. In the 1-1-2, Sammy Venables taking a win in the consistency class. James Forsyth third ahead of Kevin Zemstra and Matthew Crisp, with Adrian Falcon just behind in 6th. Mark Elviota 7th, Ashley Beard in 8th, Caitlin Hake 9th ahead of Wayne Palmer, rounding out your top 10. Then it's Philip Russell and Ben Hoffman, with Ross Nicholson and Silas Craig Vrolik very entertaining near the end. Ben White 15th ahead of Tim Rutten and Paul Godden, with Craig Schill winning the Academy class in 18th place. Very well done, mate. Stephen Grabowski is the last car on the lead lap, with Khan Newen 20th, Adam Osiawala 21st, Jaco van der Plat 2 laps down, Matthias Groen 23rd, and Brian Loynes, unfortunately, getting taken out at the very start of the race. But that honestly flew by, to be fair, Jack. I think we were very much treated to an absolute wonderful, wonderful evening's racing there, and not much else could have sufficed, really.
No, it's just one of them things we say pretty much week in, week out, that it can't get better than that. It's topped the week before, and they just keep doing it. You cannot tell the F3 drivers anything. Just like, right, calm it down, and it will only motivate them to drive faster and faster and faster and faster. And they lived up to that this evening, and it's just the comeback drives as well. We saw Ross Nicholson in the consolation race scream through the pack, and then we've just seen Adrian Falcon from pretty much last place right the way up to 6th. You don't get that anywhere else.
No, definitely not. He's just been unbelievable with the pace that he's had. And a man that he's had an alright race this evening. You know, it was a tough evening getting through from the consolation up to 17th by the end of the feature race. 5 places gained. Sorry, Paul. But Paul Godden joins us in the box. That looked like a really good combo tonight, Paul. Did you enjoy that one?
Yeah, it's a really enjoyable evening as always. Yeah, the track was not something I was really looking forward to, because it's not a track you normally see the F3 go around, but it was actually a really enjoyable track. I'm not sure what the racing was like at the front, but from where I was, I had quite a good race. Obviously, the first heat didn't go too well, but after that, I had good battles throughout the whole race, really, up until the pit stops. So yeah, it was a lot more enjoyable racing than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's always difficult when you go to a Japanese circuit. You know, it's got the notoriously slippery Japanese tarmac that always tends to plague their circuits, but still make them more of a challenge. This track, it does kind of suit these cars in the way that there's a lot of fast corners, you know, a lot of aero-dependent corners, but it's the slower stuff that's really difficult, isn't it? Because it's quite an undulating circuit. There is some really severe climbs and drops through some of the apexes.
Yeah, I think some of the corners caught a few people out on the lap one, where the cars were quite sketchy on the first and second lap with the setup and the temperatures that we had. But around the slower stuff, I just could not put the power down where I wanted to. Should be patient, and then get on the power. But some guys were, I mean, when I think it was Falco come past me, he must have been on the power when I was on the brakes, I think, the way he pulled away. Incredible. Yeah. But some of the corners, like I got in, I think it was heat 1, coming down the downhill left-hander, the double left-hander after the tight hairpin. Tim Rutten in front lost it on the brakes there, and I had nowhere to go. And I saw that happen a couple of times. I think it's just the nature of the circuit, it just catches a few people out. Yeah,
it's a very difficult one to get right. And as me and Jack touched on earlier, you know, you need really fast reactions when something happens right in front of you in these cars. So it's understandable that, you know, it can just happen. These things are either planted or they're breaking free. You know, they're not easy to drive. But it's been another pretty solid night for you, you know, getting through to the feature and then, of course, gaining a few places. Is there anyone that you'd like to give a quick thanks to while you're here, Paul?
Yeah, I'd like to thanks obviously to you and Jack for the great commentary and the broadcast.
Thank you, mate.
And obviously to Bart, I know obviously couldn't be here tonight for personal reasons, but hopefully he can come back and be strong again later in the season on track, and all the hard work he's still putting in behind the scenes, even today, setting all the sessions up, and that was great, so we could actually all come here tonight and race. So yeah, it was good.
Brilliant stuff. Well, it was really good to watch again, Paul. Like I say, great to speak to you as always, mate. And have a good week, and we'll see you next time round.
Yeah, we'll do. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Paul Godden there, absolute legend. Really, really good bloke to speak to. Top guy as well. Very helpful with the championship. And, well, we say top guy in the consistency class this evening was Sammy Venables. Sammy, Jack picked you to be the winner overall this evening. Didn't quite happen, but I'll tell you what, that was an epic battle with your teammate. I bet you pair were laughing your heads off at that one.
Yeah, it was good fun. I was happy that commentator curse didn't come into it, so that was always good. But yeah, just didn't expect it. When I don't know if we put the pressure on Adrian, but once that happened, and I tried to gain a bit of a gap, and then I saw Arthur start climbing his way through. For oh god, teammate's worst nightmare. But we had a really good race, really enjoyable team.
Did you
race wheel to wheel for once?
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, did you expect to have that pace this evening? Because it just seemed like you pair just had so much more over a lot of the other drivers in the field.
To be honest with you, we only started practicing yesterday, so no, not really. We knew Adrian was going to be quick, and Arthur didn't think that it would be us three at the front. So it's not unexpected, really, but we're going to take it.
Well, that's it. I mean, no matter how a result comes about, you know, if you get the result in the end, it's just great to have it, isn't it? You know, it's lots of points on the boards. That's your second place this evening. Obviously, you had your heat and your feature races, Jack has just very kindly pointed out to me. Do you think that eventually you'll be in the pro class? I hate to bring it up, but you've got the pace for it.
It depends if I can stop binning myself and crashing into other people, then yeah, I'm sure I can be, but well, we'll see. I've had a good one, a bad one, a good one, a bad one, so we'll see what happens next time, I guess.
Hopefully not a bad one, mate. Hopefully not a bad one. But still, mega points tonight. Awesome driving, Sammy. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yes, the boys over at Fat Send Engineering have been getting some good results recently, so yeah, all good. And our fake sponsor, Send Hub, as well. All good, all Gucci.
The fattest of sends and the sendiest of hubs. Absolutely love it. Great stuff, Sammy. Good to speak to you, mate. Have a fantastic evening. We'll see you soon.
You love to see it. See you later.
Cheers. Proper character, Sammy Venables, isn't he? Absolutely fantastic character. Love speaking to him. Someone else that I'm going to love speaking to right now is Craig Schill, who tonight won the Academy class in a feature race. Craig, you must be absolutely beaming, mate. That was awesome.
Can someone please pinch me? I'm not quite sure I did that.
Well, it's just the consistency of staying out there, mate, keeping the pace up. You know, others fell off. You didn't. You just cracked on with it and got the job done. I mean, we know it's not an easy combo because, as I was saying before, you know, some of these corners are very quick, aero-dependent. This car is a bit of a dream when it comes to the aero, obviously, but slow corners, not the easiest thing to keep wrangling around lap after lap, is it?
No, it's not. This is like my first season properly driving this car. And I've been sniffing around the feature race the last couple of weeks, getting into like 10ths and 9ths, and then doing something stupid and messing it up, which I pretty much did tonight. In the first race, I was like, oh, so close.
Yeah.
Just couldn't catch Tim. He was just gone.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's so much pressure in each heat and consolation to get through to the final. Do you think that makes a difference to people's driving styles, or do you think that they just go for it the same sort of in the same nature, let's say?
Personally, at this stage, for me, yes, because I'm like, I know what I get like. I can go gung ho and just, it's like I was trying to catch the leader in the second of the consolatory race.
Yeah.
And I was trying to catch him, and I was just like, damn it, he's way faster than me. Back off, you're starting to make silly mistakes.
Mm.
And just kind of settled into my own rhythm. But yeah, it does, because I could feel my heart in my entire body off the line. And I was just like, don't mess it up, don't mess it up. But yeah, it's hard work.
And you didn't mess it up. So, you know, plenty of points on the board for the Academy Championship. You finished a couple of places ahead of Khan Newen and Adim Osiwala as well from XD Racing. Matisse Groen as well made it into the feature, but unfortunately didn't finish after an incident early on. But Eden still, mate, you know, even if you don't lead the championship overall, it's damage limitation on the others around you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's literally every race. It's a case of I'll go for the heat race. If I can get into the feature race, great. But I just try and keep it as consistent as possible. And if I know I've got someone faster behind me, that's like Ross, he was coming up behind me, and I was just like, no, what's the point? He's way fast. He's got legs on me. If he goes for a move, I'm not really going to challenge it because I'd only end up messing up and taking us both out.
That's understandable, mate.
Just try and keep it as clean as possible. And that was the aim of the game for the 3 races tonight.
And it worked out, which is always good to see, mate. So congrats from us here at Simracersworld TV. Fantastic to see. Is there anybody that you'd like to give a quick shout out to?
I've got to give a shout out to the Sim Stickers guys, Paul and Daniele and all of them, because literally they helped me out so much off the track. The little tips and pointers, and if you do this and brake here, it kind of helps out. Yeah, they're the main ones, and then obviously I'll thank James Leggett for the design again, and yourselves for the great commentary, and obviously all the admin for the series. It's one of the greatest series I've been in. Nice
to hear, Craig. Absolutely love it, mate. Well done tonight. Have yourself a beer or whatever your drink of choice will be. Smashing, mate. Well, hopefully we'll speak to you again next time round when it all happens all over again, buddy.
If I can repeat it, great. If not, it's been fun chatting.
Nice one, Craig. See you soon, mate.
Cheers.
Lovely bloke, Craig Schill. Like I said, you know, still rather new to iRacing and developing his skills and getting quicker and quicker time after time, and it's starting to show now, isn't it, really, with a win in the Academy class. You know, people will say, oh, it's not the overall win, but when you're fighting for a class, as we've discussed, Jack, you know, you're in a similar situation to people with the same pace as you, so it is its own win, isn't it? It's great.
Yeah, it is indeed, and having been in his situation again, just being in the lower class, by no means it doesn't mean you're slower. It just means you haven't been able to get those results, and whether that's for one reason or another, you end up possibly with some even better racing, because the people that have made the mistakes at the start, like Adrian Falcon and the quicker guys, you get them tearing past you, but then you also learn a bit from them. You almost learn more by being in those classes, because you've, like he says, you've got those drivers that are willing and all the little bits that will help you progress your career. So it's really good to hear that Craig has got all these little bits available to him, and let's hope that the season continues on. And Barcelona next time out, it's another one of those circuits. It carries a lot of heritage with it. Like you mentioned tonight, Okayama, it's had it held F1, I think, in 94 and 95, World Touring Cars and Super GT, I think, for a little while. So it's one of those circuits which is almost recognised worldwide. Catalonia even more so. It holds F1 every year, so it's one of those circuits which it's just going to be a recipe for even better racing. And we've said this week is close. A couple of weeks' time, it'll be even closer.
It will indeed. It's an absolutely wonderful circuit, one of my very favourite in the world. But it's going to be intriguing to see Formula 3 cars around there. We've seen, obviously, Formula 1 GT cars and endurance racing, but yeah, Formula 3 will be interesting in its own right. Unfortunately, though, everybody, that is all we have time for tonight on Simracersworld TV. But thank you to everybody involved in the series. Thank you for everyone for watching. And, of course, to my wonderful co-commentator, Jack Werrell. I've been Chaz Draycott. This has been the Simracersworld Formula 3 series. And this is the song Close by Ice Cold and Brooks. And it's an absolute banger. So enjoy this. I'm going to crank it up. So rip headphone users. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Catalonia. Have a good night, everyone.
We're existing.